when we start healing our own ailments or finding strength to get through them, that heart space is so much more available. This week I had an experience that felt really aligned, and I want to share about it. There was a man that I ran into that completely helped fill my heart with compassion. I had compassion for him, and he had compassion for the experience that I was going through. I went to my health care practitioner's office and was getting a blood draw, but this was a long blood draw. I was letting a lot of blood out. It's a cleansing process that I'm doing right now for my personal health. And so I had a lot of time to sit in the chair, and I sat next to a man, most likely he was in his 70s, and he started talking to me and asking how I had found that clinic and how long I had been coming. As I began a conversation with him, he had this light about him. He just kept laughing and joking that he was an endless child. He's always going to be a child. And as I started to get to know him, he told me about a surgery that he had that he had to have anesthesia for, and why he was under the healthcare practitioners put phenergan in his IV drip, and it's that type of medication is absolutely not supposed to go in an IV drip, and it left him with brain damage in the lower part of his brain. And also that same type of when you get damage in that part of the brain, it affects muscle attachments and muscle movements here. So his jaw drooped, his mouth was misshapen. Another side effect is, he said, it's like you have a constant Charlie horse in your leg, and I have had a Charlie horse, and they are unbelievably painful, like scream out loud painful, and they were consistent for him. And then also tremors and shakes. And the amount of pain that he went through because of this mishap during his surgery had just been unbelievable. And so he transformed that pain. He started researching holistic modalities, how he could help the nerves heal and live a regular life. And as he was telling me this story, he started asking me about my story, and I told him why I was there. I said, actually, like, the medical system gave me medication over and over and over and over again that's completely toxic and has really limited my mobility to move. And this specific medication is mostly blood-bound, so I'm trying to remove the contaminants through blood removal, and then trust the body's process to rebuild blood, clean blood. And the amount of pain that I've gone through is been earth-shattering to me. And the sleepless nights that I've had because of this pain, because of this contaminant, has been extremely stressful. And he could feel that, and he met me where I was at, and he could feel that there was a better plan for me, like in a spiritual sense, not in even a medical sense, but he just kept cheering me on that whole visit. He just kept saying, "You're doing a great job. I can tell you're such a great mom. I can tell you really love your children. I can see that you've like you understand what you need to do to get out of this mess. And just the beauty of the conversation that we shared and the connection that we shared through our own experiences was incredible. And that was partly because he was able to meet me where I was at. Now, if we were comparing side by side our issues, I think he had it worse. The pain that he went through is, he said he was kind of checked out and disassociated for 7 years, and his wife just cared for him. And that amount of pain, I can understand, but not to the level that he's been through it. And he also had lost a daughter from brain cancer before that. That's something that I've never had happen in my life. There was like similarities, and if I could compare, I would take my challenge. But that's not where he met me. And that's where comparison and the contrast of compassion come in play. Compassion is saying, wow, you and I, we have both been in pain. Wow, you and I, we both know what wanting to check out of our bodies feels like because of the pain. Wow, you and I are both parents. You and I are both having this human experience. You and I both had medical, like things that happened in the medical system that injured us. And he met me, and that crossover and that love, that's where compassion comes in, is saying, hey, I know your pain because I've been there. Is our story the same? No, but I've been in all those similar, felt all those similar things, and we've had a similar story. And he even vocalized that. I love that he said, wow, you're a lot like me. And it was so sweet. I mean, the 70-year-old man sharing that heart of, I'm here and I'm doing it, and you're here and you're doing it. And I'm so glad you're here with me. There's a contrasting story that I want to share to illustrate the opposite. When I was first very ill, it was after a pregnancy over 8 years ago. And when I was preparing to have this baby, I had bought in a very expensive stroller. It was a Bob brand. If you know anybody with a baby in the United States, you've probably seen a Bob brand stroller. They're like the Porsche of strollers, and the 3-wheeled ones glide so smoothly, they're amazing. And I decided to buy one with 4 wheels so it would be a little bit more compact to put in my car, a little bit easier. I was already struggling with symptoms of fibromyalgia at this time before I had my baby, so I just needed like a little bit smaller stroller that wasn't as heavy and bulky. I had the baby, and then I got really ill. I had an overloaded liver, kidneys were struggling, I had an underactive thyroid, I was losing muscle mass daily, just getting weaker by the day. And so I went to push the stroller, and it literally felt like I was pushing a full grocery store through Costco. If you can imagine what that feels like, just an overloaded load. And I only had an 8-pound baby. So I decided this creme de la creme stroller is not going to work for me. And I sold it on a classifieds platform. So the lady came to pick up this stroller that was practically brand new, and it's a very expensive stroller. So she had a little bit of money, and she drove up in our fancy SUV with her athleisure wear on, and obviously she was a mom if she's picking up a stroller. And I got the question, is there anything wrong with this stroller? And I'm like, no, I just am not strong enough to push it. I've just been really sick since I had my baby. My muscles are shrinking. And she was like, oh, I have this like sore place in my calf, like where I like tore a muscle or something, and it's just such a bugger. And it just bugged me when I went to the gym this week. And here I am, completely almost melting on the driveway. She has no idea what my blood work looks like. It was ugly. She had no idea how I felt inside. And I compared ourselves, our two stories, and I did not meet her in a place of compassion. A place of compassion would have looked like, wow, you're a tired mom too, and I hope this really blesses your life. This stroller really blesses your life. Wow, we live in the same state. Wow, we both probably have challenges with our children, or that maybe you didn't get some sleep last night, or oh, you're in pain. Like, that's where we could have met somewhere with a heart of compassion. But I was so toxic. My belief system, my body, in my brain. I compared, and I thought, you have no idea what I'm going through. And even though I lowered myself, like, because of my situation, there was no meeting place. There was no integration. There was no heart. There was no love. And I let it go. But that was the toxicity that I was experiencing in my body at that time, is that I can't meet you. Before I did like a lot of inner work and a lot of love, self-love, a lot of shifting, a lot of radical compassion given to myself, a lot of understanding my story, a lot of being better at asking questions to see where other people are at. All these things have helped me integrate into a place of where I can feel a heart of compassion. I can feel when someone has a broken heart, because I've been there too. I can feel when someone's hurt, even in the calf, because I've been there too. I can feel when someone has a brain injury, because I've been there too. This is a diagram that shows what it looks like in a place of comparison. When we're dealing with scenarios, life scenarios, and people in a space of comparison. There's definitely blockages where we just use the logical side of the brain and we say, I have nothing in common with you. So here's where integration comes in. Integration is defined by Dan Siegel is taking differentiated parts and linking them in some way. So as we find creative ways or find a way through questions, from gaining more information, through seeing more of the story, from observing, even from reading, we start to link and help the differences and start to link them together. So it makes like a more fluid path. And that's when we utilize the right side of our brain so we can connect and link to another person. Feeling compassion can also happen inside the body. For example, if you ever have had a broken heart, can you go back to that time where you had that experience, whether it was a spouse left, or a family member passed, or a friend passed, or a friend betrayed you, or you lost a child, or an animal? You can go back to that place in your heart that still carries the pain. Even if the pain is healed, you can still have the memory in your body of the pain. And when you run across or experience somebody that is dealing with a broken heart, even if it's in the smallest amount, how do you feel? What are the feelings coming out of your head? I've been there. And that's where we meet someone with compassion. And the more we practice, the more we can meet people there, even if it's a small torn muscle in the calf. We can meet them there and say, oh, that is so hard to be removed from life, like your regular life routine, to have to heal that. I know what that feels like. I'm so sorry. I really hope that you feel better next week. That's like the most beautiful thing of life, is that as we expand without polarization, with we need to utilize right and left brain. We need to understand where they're coming from by asking questions, and then we can start linking the links. The man in the first story, he used his right brain to create this scenario that him and I were alike. And with a heart healing process, it's such a beautiful thing. So he could have compared. It wasn't where he was. He wasn't dealing with toxicity that I was at the time. From the second story, he totally could have compared us, but I'm so glad he didn't. So we could be met together in unity, love, companionship, heart, and using both sides of our brains. When we start healing our own ailments or finding strength to get through them, that heart space is so much more available.